I loaf and invite my soul. Walt Whitman, Song of Myself. In our world today, the constant pursuit of self-improvement and the glorification of hustle culture have become the norm. But are we really any happier? For many, spiritual practice or aspirations to any spiritual growth is just another thing to add to our increasingly long to-do list. Meditation and mindfulness are not merely ways in which to take a break from the demands of our lives, but also techniques in which we demand further efficiency and productivity from ourselves. The demand is never ending. We must always become better and better. But above all, we must become more and more productive. We have forgotten or grossly misunderstood the message of not only the wisdom of the great spiritual traditions and paths, but those of the philosophies of both East and West that offer a strong suggestion to relax, allow, and surrender, not as a way of achieving more, becoming more, or even improving our lives, but just for the sheer present moment, simplicity of resting in the joy of mere being, the joy of being no one going nowhere. This video will draw on a range of wildly diverse sources, from ancient Taoism to the French Situationists of the 1960s, to suggest that deep human satisfaction lies not in the constant striving to improve, even to improve spiritually, but in the simple momentary act of relaxing and releasing the clenched knot of effort and realizing what is called in Taoism Wu Wei, or effortless effort. We will examine the wisdom of Lao Tzu, Josef Pieper, Lin Yutang, Longchenpa, Paul Lafargue, and Guy Debord, all of whom emphasize the necessity of being no one, of letting go of the ego-driven pursuit of success and recognition. If we do this, we also discover that true human authenticity, or as Nietzsche said, becoming ourselves, requires this act of deep relaxation. To put it simply, tension is who we think we should be. Relaxation is who we are. In our fast-paced and hyper-connected world, the relentless drive for self-improvement and ceaseless ambition have become normalized. We no longer even question the rightness of this incessant pursuit. We are told we must always strive for more, work harder, and be continually upgrading ourselves to the very best versions of ourselves. Increasingly, we are recognizing that this hustle culture of relentless self-improvement, with all its strict disciplines, 5 a.m. wake-ups, cold showers, fasting till midday, working 16, 18 hours a day, exercising hours on end, watching every mouthful of food, getting to bed by 9 p.m., etc., is not leading to an increase in happiness, but rather to burnout and a sense of never, ever truly arriving at the final destination that we yearn for. And if we decide that what we really want is a spiritual goal of some kind, enlightenment, awakening, or just becoming more spiritually engaged with the world, we impose upon ourselves a similar regime of strict schedules and disciplines. We become spiritually ambitious. Thus, we find ourselves in a similar state of burnout. However, this time it is a type of spiritual burnout. Where the German-Korean philosopher Byung-Chul Han examines this concept of burnout in modern society in his book The Burnout Society, particularly in the context of contemporary work culture. Han argues that burnout is not merely a result of excessive workload or stress, but is deeply rooted in the culture of achievement, positivity, and constant self-optimization that characterizes our times. Han suggests that in the age of digital connectivity and social media, individuals are under constant pressure to present themselves as successful and happy. That is to say, to present oneself as going somewhere. This relentless pursuit of self-optimization and the compulsion to maintain a positive image can lead to a state of burnout, where individuals feel exhausted, isolated, and empty, even despite any outward achievements. One of Han's key insights is that burnout is not solely caused by external factors, but is exacerbated by our own willingness to participate in this culture of self-exploitation. Byung-Chul Han's book suggests that we strongly reconsider the value of leisure as an antidote to burnout. Surprisingly, the wisdom of this approach can happen after, and even sometimes during, the crisis of burnout. We begin to intuit and sometimes our bodies just demand it, the deep satisfaction and joy of being no one going nowhere. Lao Tzu, in his seminal work Tao Te Ching, introduces us to the concept of Wu Wei, which is often translated as effortless action or non-doing. Lao Tzu invites us to consider a way of living that is in harmony with the natural order, where we act without striving, and we flow with the currents of life rather than resisting them. Wu Wei challenges the prevailing notion that success is achieved through relentless effort, and instead proposes that we can accomplish more by doing less. The Tao Te Ching suggests that the greatest achievements occur when we act in alignment with the Tao, the fundamental principle and natural flow of existence. Lao Tzu also emphasizes the importance of embracing no self, which entails letting go of the ego-driven desire for recognition and success. In Western and increasingly Eastern culture, immense value is placed on personal identity and achievement. Lao Tzu's teachings invite us to transcend the ego and recognize our interconnectedness with all of existence. By releasing the need to constantly define and improve ourselves, we open the door to a rich sense of inner peace and contentment. Leisure and Culture, Josef Pieper's Insights. Josef Pieper, 1904 to 1997, was a prominent German philosopher and a respected figure in the Catholic intellectual tradition. Josef Pieper's most influential work was Leisure, the Basis of Culture. In this book, he discusses the decline of leisure in modern society. Pieper makes a strong argument that true leisure is a contemplative state of being, one in which we are free from the compulsion to produce and consume. In a world driven by the pursuit of productivity, leisure is often dismissed as unproductive. Yet Pieper contends that it is the very foundation of culture itself. Pieper emphasizes the significance of contemplation, a state of mind where we are open to receiving the world in its fullness, without the need to manipulate or control it. In a culture obsessed with constant activity and the acquisition of material goods, contemplation is the antidote to the shallowness that pervades our lives. It is in moments of contemplation that we can truly appreciate the beauty and depth of existence. Pieper challenges the prevailing notions of productivity and efficiency. He argues that the pursuit of culture, wisdom, and inner growth requires time for leisure and contemplation. The relentless drive to be productive at all times not only leads to burnout, but also deprives us of the very essence of what it means to be human. Lin Yutang, 1895 to 1976, was a renowned Chinese writer, philosopher, and inventor, best known for his literary contributions that bridged Eastern and Western cultures. In 1937, while living in New York City, Lin Yutang wrote The Importance of Living, which would become a massive bestseller in the United States and elsewhere in the world. In the book, Lin Yutang promotes the virtues of a simple and contented life. He suggests that we cultivate an attitude of joy in the everyday, in the small pleasures of existence. Yutang argues that the pursuit of self-improvement often leads to inner turmoil and dissatisfaction. Instead, by accepting ourselves as we are and embracing the present moment, we can experience a sense of vast tranquility. Old Man Basking in the Sun is an ancient Tibetan spiritual text transmitted by the great Dzogchen master, Longchenpa. Longchenpa's contributions to Tibetan Buddhism are monumental, and he is often regarded as one of the greatest scholars and meditation masters in the Tibetan tradition. Longchenpa's magnum opus, Old Man Basking in the Sun, which is also known by the title, The Treasury of Natural Perfection. However, it's the title, Old Man Basking in the Sun, that most clearly and succinctly communicates the spiritual wisdom contained in the pages of the book. The metaphor of the old man sitting in the sun represents the natural state and supreme ease of already inherent spiritual realization. Just as the old man peacefully enjoys the warmth and light of the sun without striving or seeking, so too can individuals find profound serenity and fulfillment by recognizing the inherent clarity and perfection of their own mind and simple state of being. The metaphor of an old man blissfully enjoying the sun without a care in the world underscores the idea that enlightenment is not a distant goal to be pursued through effort, but a state of being that arises when one is fully present and attuned to the natural radiance of existence. Paul Lafargue, 1842 to 1911, was a French Marxist revolutionary, economist, writer, and son-in-law of Karl Marx, whose best-known essay was The Right to be Lazy, published in 1883. In this influential work, Lafargue argued against the prevailing work ethic of his time, criticizing the exploitation of laborers and the relentless pursuit of productivity. Lafargue contended that workers had a fundamental right to leisure and that a reduction in working hours would lead to improved well-being and a more equitable society. Lafargue challenged the notion that work was inherently virtuous and that idleness was a sin. Instead, he advocated for the value of rest and leisure as essential components of a meaningful, even spiritual and/or creative life. Lafargue called for the reclaiming of freedom from working and the right to enjoy life without the burden of constant labor. In a world, such as ours today, where the pursuit of material success often takes precedence over personal well-being, Lafargue's insights remind us of the importance of rest, leisure, and loafing as absolutely necessary to the realization of genuine happiness. Guy Debord, 1931 to 1994, was a French intellectual, filmmaker, and political theorist, best known for his influential work, The Society of the Spectacle, published in 1967. Debord strongly criticized consumer culture, capitalism, and the dehumanizing effects of modern society. In his book, The Society of the Spectacle, Debord explores the concept of the spectacle, a pervasive and alienating force in contemporary life that commodifies human experience and reduces it to a series of images and simulations. Guy Debord's attitudes toward work were greatly influenced by his critical stance on consumer culture and capitalism. He believed that the modern capitalist system restricted individuals to only two modes of being. One could either be a producer and/or a consumer. Debord argued that the spectacle, the production of images via advertising, cinema, music videos, art, popular culture, etc., worked to convince us that there was no other way that we could be in the world other than producing or consuming. This perspective underpinned his provocative slogan, "Never Work," which emerged and was painted on walls and buildings during the street riots of May 1968 in Paris. Debord himself was true to his word, as in his 63 years of life, he never performed paid work of any kind. Debord introduced many practices that he felt stood outside, or were a type of resistance to, the conforming realms of mere production and consumption. One was the derive, later known as psychogeography. The concept derive and psychogeography were unconventional ways of experiencing and understanding urban or city environments. While most space within cities is constructed in a way to only encourage producing or consuming, that is going to work or going to the shops. The derive is a form of drift, or aimless walking through a city, guided by intuition and curiosity, rather than pre-planned or imposed routes. During the derive, individuals allow themselves to be carried by the unique rhythms and atmospheres of different city spaces, which can reveal hidden aspects of the urban landscape, challenge the monotony of daily life, introducing play and forms of resistance outside the producer or consumer nexus. So, what do these philosophers and political theorists who preach the dangers and life-deadening effects of work have to do with spiritual life, practice, or understanding? If we accept that spiritual realization or awakening is a natural, always, already, prior state of being, as the Dzogchen master Longchenpa would have us believe, then why is it that we cannot simply stop? What is this drive to attain? We may recognize that our spiritual practice has, almost automatically, become another form of ambition, another source of tension, of worry, a feeling of being dissatisfied with how things are, and a need to change them, rather than merely letting them be. What the Tibetan spiritual master, Chogyam Trungpa, called spiritual materialism, the contemporary Dzogchen teacher Chogyal Namkhai Norbu Rinpoche said that spiritual practice is extremely easy, one need only relax. Or as H.W.L. Punja, the Advaita Vedanta master and devotee of Ramana Maharishi said, practice is very simple. Keep quiet and make no effort. So why can't we simply do that? This is where some of these cultural theorists and philosophers may help. They can reveal to us how embedded, how propagandized, how influenced by the ideology of this, mainly capitalist system, that demands from us ever more increasing levels of productivity, demands our very life force from us, that will not let us rest, even to the point of physical and mental breakdown and burnout. If we allow these theorists and philosophers to reveal to us our embeddedness, we may then take conscious steps to resist. We can reduce our work hours to an optimal minimum. We can greatly simplify our lives. We can embrace and learn to become masters of doing nothing. We can take back our attention from the attention economy. We can live, as Henry David Thoreau suggested, with the broadest of margins on my life. We can finally stop beating ourselves up for not achieving more, being more, and rest in the always already state of our natural, inherent, and boundless radiance. We can rest as we truly are. No one going nowhere.